Hello and welcome, comic book fans. Today I've got a special treat for you all. I decided to put off some Walking Dead and do it next week. But first off, let me tell you a few things. I know I didn't do a comic book. I didn't do a lot last week, anything for YouTube at all. I had a lot of things going on, so I'm coming in strong this week. I know I didn't bring anything for Tuesday, but this week I'm not doing The Walking Dead. What I got sitting in front of me is really, really cool. It's something that's really close to my heart because this is a series that I first started reading and it got me into comic books. And a lot of people who are fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics, they really want to see this storyline in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that storyline, of course, is Marvel's Civil War. I've got all 7 issues here. I do believe you can get this in a collected volume. I'm not sure about the individual issues. This came out quite a while ago. It came out in 2006, and it was just a really cool series. It was a really cool time for me to get into comic books. I didn't get into comic books until I was around 12, 13 years old when I first got into comic books. So this is what was going on when I first got into comic books. I saw there was a comic book store in our local mall, and I saw this, and I was like, oh my gosh, it is a Marvel superhero Civil War. And I was just like, that's crazy. And I've got to read this. And I picked it up, I bought it, and I don't regret it. Like I said, it got me into comic books. So to start things off, I'll go through each and every issue, and then at the end, I'll tell you what kind of score I would give it, because it is finished now, and I mean it's just awesome. It's a really cool series. I mean, just flipping through the art right now. The art is phenomenal. It's really good art. I was surprised because like I remember seeing like comic books and stuff on like TV and like how that looked, and so when I picked this up, I was like, whoa, comics look like this? No way, comics look like this. That looks too realistic. It doesn't look like a comic book. It looks like I'm looking at almost like a movie. So, in the first issue of Civil War, things start to... It lays down the foundation for the rest of the series. There is a group of superheroes who are very young and they're unexperienced, and they go up against this very powerful villain who ends up blowing up this whole entire town and killing everybody. The villain killed the superheroes and all the people in the town. And so the government blames superheroes for this. Obviously, it was a superhero problem, and they say, all right, we do have some people who are very skilled, like Captain America, Tony Stark, and Spider-Man, and that's all good and dandy, but more and more kids are getting powers, and so we need to figure out a way to control them, to make sure something like this never happens again. So that's when they come up with this act where you have to register with the U.S. government and tell them your secret identity. And so obviously there's going to be a side that says, no, we're not going to do that. There's going to be a side that says, yes, we're going to do that. Leading each side is Tony Stark. He's for the pro telling the government your secret identity and going into this act of I forget what they call the act. It's been a while, but I mean I'm gonna have to reread this now that I'm doing a review of it. I mean it's so cool. It is. But anyways, Tony Stark is for telling the government that who their secret identities are, because Tony Stark from the beginning, he always let everybody know what his secret identity was. So there's that, and then Captain America, he takes the side of keeping their secret identities a secret. And so this ensues a civil war. I love this page right here. this full art page. Just the big superheroes checking out the damage, the destruction. It's so cool. I love this series. Okay, so I'm moving on. Here is part 2. And actually, I don't think I showed this on the last one, but if you go like that, you get a whole kind of spread there. And then that also with this one, boom, you got that 2 sides. So there's always 2 sides to the war, and this is really cool. So the people who are up to finding the superheroes that haven't registered are Shield. Shield's now hunting down these superheroes who are not registered with the government and making them register. And it splits people in half. Like people who were once great friends and allies, they decide no more. We can't let this happen. And Spidey gets a new suit. It's something Tony Stark designed for him. The Iron Spider-Man suit. It's pretty cool. But yeah, then we can see here's Shield hunting down a kid. He's running. There's the plane chasing after him. This is really cool. I mean, even some of the ads, it's kind of crazy to see some of these ads because it's such an older series now. You wouldn't think it's really that old, but 2006, that was 8 years ago that this came out. 8 years ago. So it's been a little while. And in this issue, they show where they are bringing the bad guys to. Or not the bad guys, the good guys who will not register. They're bringing them to the negative zone. And in this issue, Captain America stops the Shield agents from bringing these superheroes who refuse to register to the negative zone. He brings them to a secret base that I do believe it is one of Nick Fury's secret bases. Yes, it is, because Nick Fury is not is not the leader of Shield right now. And this issue is pretty important because Spider-Man, he has decided to join Tony Stark, and he reveals his secret identity as Peter Parker. Pretty cool. It's really awesome stuff. Actually, there's something I missed in the last issue that I didn't show you guys. Let me show you real quick. Captain America tearing up some Shield agents. There. Some cool artwork, some cool stuff. It's really a cool series. If you ever get a chance to pick it up, I'm gonna say right now, I highly recommend it. Again, more politics in these first 3 issues. They're like, what about? They're just trying to decide who's on which side and things like that. What side the X-Men are going to be on? What side is Daredevil and Spider-Man and stuff they're going to be on? It's pretty cool. And in this issue is the first time the 2 sides actually get into a battle. So they get a call at a chemical plant, and it's a trap that Tony Stark has set up for the good guys who don't want to register. So I'll kind of flip through it a little bit. They're sitting there waiting for him to show up. Then they do finally show up, and they get some. They confront them, and they try and talk things over. And right there, as you can see, that is Captain America shaking Tony Stark's hand, but it's a booby trap. You see that on his hand down at the last panel. It short wires Tony Stark's armor, making him unable to fight effectively. And it just turns into an all-out brawl. Everyone's kicking the crap out of each other. Spider-Man kicking the crap out of Captain America right there. Then you got Iron Man punching Captain America It's craziness all over. It's so cool. Really cool. And then boom! Big lightning. Who could have that been? Thor. Thor shows up for the fight, and he ends up killing somebody. Not in this issue. Next issue, he kills somebody. It's actually not Thor, it's a robot that the government was making, because I think at this point in the storyline, like, I don't think they know where Thor is. Like, Thor has been missing or something. I don't know 100%. Like I said, this was the first time I started reading comics, so I was like, I was kind of surprised to see that this Thor was actually a robot. And the Thor does kill somebody. It kills Goliath. Let me see if I can find the panel. Right here. Right there. That's Goliath getting shot with lightning, and that does kill him. It's just really, really cool, these fight scenes. It's awesome. And Susan Storm, she has decided to back up the non-registers. She's going to get everybody out of there through teleportation. All the non-registers. Because there's really no good guy or bad guy in this storyline at all. It's really cool. And it goes back into more politics. Like, people on the registration side are saying, do you think we might have took things too far? This Thor shouldn't have been out in the field, obviously, because now they're having to bury one of the superheroes, and it's not cool, I guess, is what a lot of them thought. And so some of them get a change of heart, but I'll show you that right there. Supervillains are going to join the Civil War, and they will be fighting for the Registration Act. These are supervillains that have been incarcerated, and so they have no choice. They have to work for the government, and they tell them, you're going to help us whether you like it or not. Moving on to issue 5. We can see Spider-Man's on the cover, and he's being chased by some bad guys. So that gives you a little insight to what's going on in this issue. Now remember, Spider-Man's on the Registration Act. He revealed his true identity. He's been working alongside Tony Stark, and he's been working with Tony Stark pretty much. But in this issue, Tony Stark and Spider-Man, they get into an argument, saying Peter's like, I don't think we're doing the right thing anymore. I think this has gone too far. That Goliath should not have died. And so a battle ensues between those two and one of Stark's offices. And it makes it, and we'll see right here. They start. He's shooting at Spider-Man with his repulsors. Okay. So Spider-Man gets out of there. So now Spider-Man is going to go ahead and join the non-registration side, even though he's already given away his secret identity, which he will regrettably. What's the word I'm looking for? He will regret doing so. So he's on the run, and then for some reason they send the bad guys after him. He's getting attacked right here by bad guys in the sewers. They're trying to blow him up. More bad guy fights and stuff, and he does get saved. This is the one, my comic. This issue, I had a problem with the staples, but he gets saved by that right there. He brings him to Captain America's headquarters, where the non-registrators are. And the person who saved him, of course, the Punisher, holding Spider-Man. Get me a medic now. And I always thought this was funny, the look on Captain America's face right there. He's like, ah! It looks so funny. So they get Spider-Man medical attention and whatnot, and this is the first time they show you where they're going. So I already knew because I read it, but this is where they're sending the non-registrators. There's Daredevil, and he was a non-register, and they're sending him to the negative zone. Uh, Mr. Fantastic was the one that created the portal to the negative zone, and that's where they're incarcerating non-registers. That's the end of issue 5. Going on to issue 6. And this is a 7-part series, so we got one more after this. And there, in this issue, they show some of the training regiment of the of both sides, actually, the registers and then the non-registers. They're training, getting ready for battle, trying to recruit allies. That's Namor, I think is his name. I'm pretty sure that's his name, Namor. Susan Storm trying to get him on their side. They're planning for their next attack. And right here, there's supervillains that got away from the government, and so they're like, we want to join you. But if Punisher's there, and Punisher knows these guys are murderers, so he shoots them, kills them, and that makes Captain America angry, and he punches Punisher in the face. Really freaking good too, by the looks of that panel right there. That one. Oh, and he just keeps going after him. Whoa, I forgot about that. He just wails on Punisher in this issue. Oh, this one's ripped too. But yeah, pretty much this one, it's more politics. They're showing training. They show Captain America beating the crap out of the Punisher, and then at the very end, there's a big confrontation setting up for the final issue where the two sides are going to fight. And I'll show you that one too. Captain America, what is he saying? Now close your eyes, gentlemen. This might hurt. He's about ready to throw an ass whooping. Ass whooping. All right, last but not least, issue 7 of the Civil War, the last issue. It brings everything together. And pretty much this is all one all-out brawl. Good guy versus good guy, bad guy versus good guys, because the registers have the supervillain on their side. So it's just an all-out brawl. I'll just kind of show you a few. Here's the opening. Avengers Assemble! See Spider-Man getting tag teamed by some supervillains, Venom being one of them. Lots of fighting. Here's another cool panel that just shows a bunch of fighting in it with no words. And then they battle Cloak. From Cloak and Dagger, he brings all the battling out into the cities. Like they're in a confined area. I think they were in like, where were they? They were in someone's base. I don't know whose base it was, but they're fighting in the streets, and they're tearing things up. They're tearing things apart, and Namor does show up to help the non-registers. I think this is the robot Thor again. So yeah, it just stuff goes crazy. Oh, and this guy, his name is Hercules. And he destroys the Thor robot. Captain America wailing on Tony Stark there, Iron Man. And then this is where it starts to come to a close. Captain America's beating the crap out of Iron Man, and then all these normal people, all these heroes, firefighters, policemen, doctors, they jump on Captain America to make him stop hitting Iron Man. And then that's when Captain America looks around and he sees all the destruction that he's caused to the city, and that's when he tells the police, "Take me away." And he tells the rest of them to stand down, and he says that's an order, and he's in handcuffs. So each side just kind of sitting there looking at him, with Punisher holding up his mask because he took his mask off to reveal he's Steve Rogers. So yeah, and then it's just epilogue for the rest of it. They talk about what they're gonna do for the future, and at this point, it looks like registering is gonna be law. You're gonna, if you want to be a superhero in the Marvel universe, you have to register. But of course, this was made in 2006. Things are a little different now. So, like I said, I'm gonna give it a review score. For reviews, I'm gonna do them 1 to 5, and for this, I'm gonna give it a 4, not a 5. It was the first issue or the first series I started following, but it did have a few flaws. I thought, like, reading it, I always feel this way when they do an event. They do some sort of event, and it seems like everything's going to build up to something awesome. Something's going to build up. And it did build up for quite a while, but when you finally got to that last issue, it felt like kind of like an abrupt end. Like, you felt like it should have gone on a little bit longer. But some people might disagree with me, and I understand why they would. They would say, no, it ended the way it should have, and it did end fairly well. It made sense the way it ended. Captain America saying, you know what, we've caused too much pain, we've caused too many problems, we should just give up this whole war. But I'm giving it 4 out of 5, which is obviously still good. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a really good read. You should definitely pick it up. I do believe they made a trade paperback or a hardcover graphic novel with all these 7 issues collected in them. I'm not 100% unsure on that. You might want to check like Amazon or MidtownComics.com. Just type in Marvel Civil War and see what comes up. You might even be able to get these individual issues. I don't know. I haven't looked because I have all 7 issues. I haven't looked at my local comic book store if they still have these 7 issues somewhere in the back issue area, or if they've even had a graphic novel of it. But I think they did. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a graphic novel of this. It was really cool. Now, there's one more thing I'm going to talk about before I end this, and it's about Marvel Civil War. A lot of people who have read this, they want to see it come on to the big screen. They want to see it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's one problem with this, however, that I see, because Fantastic Four, they have a big part in this, and Spider-Man has a big part in this, and the X-Men have a semi-big part of this, like Wolverine. They could do without the X-Men, but I don't think they'd be able to do it without Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards works right alongside Tony Stark in putting these non-registers in the negative zone. So I think they might be able to get around that with just having Tony Stark, but really they need Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a huge plot point in issue 2 where he shows his true identity, and he comes out and says, I am Peter Parker, I am Spider-Man. And I think if they didn't have that in the movie, it wouldn't be as good as it should. And so if we do get it, I don't think it'll be until a very great while until Marvel and Disney get the rights back to at least Spider-Man. But right now, with the success of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I don't see Sony giving up the rights to the Spider-Man franchise, because they have the rights to make the movies for it. So that's just my thought on it. I'd really love to see it. I think it would be awesome, but I don't see it coming anytime soon. I'd be very surprised if we did get it sometime after Avengers 2. So that is all I have for you guys today. I didn't think this would go that long, but this is almost 25 minutes long. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like what you've seen here, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys next Thursday on the next Comic Book Thursdays.